Life on Paper. I am Brianna, and welcome to day 3 of Follow a Sketch February, where State Goddess, also known as Scrapping Reflections, also known as Sandy Reversky, gives us a sketch each day to follow. This sketch, I don't know where this sketch is from. I was going to be all prepared. There is no name on this sketch. It's a beautiful sketch. It's got 3 4x4 photos. I've got my photos. I'm going to cut down to 4x4. And then today is also the first Saturday in February, which means it is Stamp It Like It's Hot. So I have my stamp. The prompt this month is stitching, and I have these circular stamps, and I thought how perfect this was because you can see there's doilies in the sketch. I'm going to use these instead of the doilies. The other thing I ran across, because I never know, I pull out all my photos ahead of time. These are planned for the month, but I don't know what I'm going to use for paper. So I found, it's Echo Park, and it's called Just Be You. And I like the colors. It's got this dream catcher I want to use. So this is what I plan on using. I also have Hello Again, which I find are similar colors. So that's extra paper that I might be able to use. But let's get scrapping. That paper collection is from 2016, which to me is not that old, but to everybody else I've listened to on YouTube is really old. So glad to be using it. These pictures that I'm using, each year my daughter and myself go to our church's annual conference, and at the state conference, and they have a couple different groups come in and sing. The one group was using drums, and then so I just thought that was very interesting, and I just wanted to document that. So I look through the papers and get this peach colored paper, which kind of reads as solid. It's not busy like the other papers. It's got hearts on it. So I'm going to start with that. I do contemplate using the heart. I liked that, but that will be for another day. And then I'm just making sure the bicycles are on the back. Just making sure that I really want to use this, and there's not any better options out there. So I think I cut it down to 9x9 first. Realize it's maybe a little bit too big, and then trim it down. Oh, that's the wrong piece of paper. Sorry. That's the background, so it is 12x12. You'll see that frame. I'll come to that later. I picked out these flare that I think are really meant to match the collection, so I was super excited to remember that I had those. I was going to use the cloud ones, but once I had 2 floral flare out, I used the third one as floral as well. Here is where I decide what scraps I'm going to use. I really was going to use this scrap, and I think I got put aside and I forgot about it. But that's okay because I end up using a dark blue floral anyway. Here are the hot air balloons, and it's all, you can see in the sketch there's just all little bits of scraps. So this works really well. You can tell I cut, this was like the middle of a piece of paper going left to right, so it worked well to trim these off. Now I'm paying attention. Some of the strips are going vertical, some are going horizontal, so then I'm going to make some horizontal strips out of these. And I'm not really, it doesn't matter how long they are, so I'm just trimming them, and then like the angled cut, you'll see me straighten that out later. So I am trying to decide what I want for the other scraps going underneath there, and I'm pretty sure I want to use the blue, and then I really use the little tiny pieces because again it doesn't matter how long they are, so I trim off some of those around the triangles, just getting creative with my scraps. Not that I couldn't use the bigger piece because I have plenty of scraps, but I was trying to I don't know, I was trying to be creative. In the sketch you can see it has that big title up in the right hand corner, and I look at the cut apart squares and I'm trying to decide, they all look great actually for a title, but and you'll see this in a minute, I take them out and then I decide on that journaling box, because in the sketch it has the speech bubble as a journaling box. I don't want that. So, and I don't decide that until, and I don't know if I cut it out, but I will bring in the sticker sheet and then decide, oh, that's the title I want. You can see the shine on the side, and oh, no, I must have already figured it out, because now I am trimming that journaling box out of the middle of the paper. So, and then I know it's not 4x4, but I'm thinking that it's gonna go within the 4x4, like framed. So I'm thinking, and I did think about cutting it down. I really like this paper. This is from the other paper or other collection. And at first I didn't want to use that because it just wasn't a big enough square. So I'll trim off a little bit of this floral paper. I'm going with the stripes on the other side, and that's what I'm gonna use. And I think, oh, I'm just gonna trim it to 4x4, and then it's just gonna fit back there. Well, this is bigger, but then I was like, ooh, if this is bigger, then I can totally sneak those little pieces. But then I trimmed it wrong because I didn't leave it 4 inches. Oh, the struggle is real, guys. So what ends up happening, instead of using that big piece, which isn't really big at all, I trim off 2 little pieces and then kind of piece things together. In fact, I will, oh, here, I'm going to make sure I give myself a 4-inch piece just on one side. And then I use a scrap on the one side that will have a flare overlapped on top of it. There. First I was going to put on the left side. I was like, and I thought they were thick enough that you wouldn't see it, but you can. So here, this paper is going to be the frame. So I figure about 9 by 9 inches. I trim it out. I don't go all the way across when I make my scraps, if that makes sense. That L, I leave it as an L, because you never know if you want those things on the one side going up and down or horizontal. So here's where I go, oh yeah, 9 inches was too much. So I just take 1/4 of an inch, really thinking I should have taken a 1/2 inch. But I'm like, oh, I'm just going to take a little bit at a time. So I took 1/4 of an inch off each side, and I end up liking the way that is. And everything is about ease. So, ta-da! Probably the longest part of the whole process is me trying to get those other little pieces matted underneath that journaling block. So that takes me a while. Or it takes me much longer than it should anyway. I did look at this background paper. I wanted those, they're not really dots. It looks like rain, kind of. They're droplets going up and down instead of going sideways, because that's what rain does. Not 100% of the time, but. So then I was like, oh, if I want to make it 4x4, I will just go over here. And I knew there was glue on the back of the items, but I thought, oh, I'll just use that as my figuring out where to lay it. And that's where I'm purposeful with that little piece where it's not a full scrap. I'm going to put it to the bottom right so that it can get covered with a flare. But this takes me way too long. That should have been done and over with. It's kind of painful. I'm sorry. Please check out the playlist below with everyone that's playing along with Follow a Sketch February. You can start at the beginning and just play them all the way through if you like. It's kind of fun. I haven't gotten through, not a big surprise, but I've been kind of working hard on the layout, so I haven't gotten through very much. But it's always fun for me to look at. Once I get these photos down, then I get to put the papers in and start embellishing. So I trim the scrap, which gets trimmed a little bit more. And of course, I fuss with all of this before gluing it down, and then glue it down and then fuss some more. But I wanted to make sure that I just had enough paper to start off with. Layering is something that I love the look of, and I really should do more. It's a good way to use scraps, but it's also a good way to have some more interest on the paper. So like different colors, different patterns. This is that 4x4 piece that I was going to use behind the journaling box, and instead I trim it to use it for some of the tucking pieces. And I still have a good chunk left after I'm done. The next thing I do is to get out some of the off-white paper to make those stamped circles on. And I don't want to use that coral color. I'm afraid that's just too, I don't know. It's not like it's not going to look good, and it'll still stand out because it's on that white paper, but I just felt like it was too matchy-matchy and it needed a different color. So I pull out key lime pie by, oh, here's a good tip. If you, these are floppy, put it down in your surface area and then pick it up with your black, because there was no way I was going to get it to be a circle if I was just going to try to lay it just on top of the black. Here's key lime pie from Close to My Heart, super retired. And I stamp it out, and it's too light. It's just, it doesn't give enough color. So I'm kind of bummed because I wanted to bring that more of that green in, which I will with the stickers. But so what I end up doing instead is, oh, and I'm sorry for the camera shake. I use Outdoor Denim, which is another super retired color by Close to My Heart. But that I really happy with. So I knew this was going to be too big, but I was like, can I just give a curve on part of it because I'm going to be tucking this? Nope, that didn't work. Then I pulled out another one. Nope, that circle is too small. So I do go with hand trimming, which I don't mind at all. But the circle has that string kind of, the string in quotation marks hanging out, and it just gives for a, I don't know, oblong circle, which, probably wouldn't have worked with any circle I had, but so it was probably the best choice to just hand cut it out. And I don't mind doing it. I've never liked to trim stuff out or fussy cut. And I say this every once in a while, these Tim Holtz serrated scissors that I got are amazing, and they're a joy, and I don't mind cutting anything out. So there's my little plug for the Tim Holtz scissors. So there's a lot of different ways you can turn this circle, but I wanted to show the interesting kind of the stitching, again in quotes, stitching parts, so that I was very careful of how I was intentional of where I wanted that circle to lay. And then I'm using my grid for my mat underneath to kind of get that inside circle centered in the middle with all the other stuff that's going on. And every time I get a phone call, my phone goes off. So, and yes, it is on Do Not Disturb, but some people get through. So sorry for the interruptions. That arrow that I just placed says noted, and that is from the other collection. All the rest of these stickers are from the one that I told you about first. So I'm going to use, I've got the heart down. I'm going to use those stickers for my cluster base down the bottom. I use adhesive foam tape for my flare. And then there's all these various little flowers. So I'm super glad to get those on there. I almost forget to use the dream catcher. So I get that on there as a cluster base. And once I get that down, I will put the flare, adhere the flare down. I hope you guys are having as much fun watching these videos as I do making them. It's been, I think it's been a year and a half now, and just so much fun creating these videos and then hearing from everybody as well, and all the likes and subscribes. It's just so fun. I did get to 700 the other day and had to do a happy dance. That was fun too. So here are more of those flowers going into the clusters. I will try to use all the little ones, and at one point I try to grab off one that is in fact not a sticker. Can you believe they put one on there that isn't cut out? I mean, I can certainly cut it out, but it's just kind of weird on a sticker sheet, and I'll show you that in a minute if I haven't cut that part out. So thinking of kind of as almost as using these as enamel dots at this point in my clusters. And then I have 2 butterflies, so I will use those in the bottom cluster, and I put adhesive foam down the middle of the butterfly so that I can kind of bend their wings up to give it a little bit of, like, it looks like motion. Of course they will flatten out a little bit in the page protector, but for now anyway, it's fun. With that, we are finished, and I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I will see you again tomorrow for another video.